Hello, I'm Niall and we're going to spend some time looking at this little project here, and I'm going to explain how it works and how you can deploy it to Camunda Cloud. So first of all, this is a very simple project that if you're just looking to get started with Camunda Cloud, this is kind of ideal for you. Let me talk through it. First of all, it's a game I used to play all the time with friends at parties that used to exist. And it's all about naming someone who is exactly 50 years old. Very simple. You say the name of a celebrity. If they are 50, you win the game. If they are not, the next person guesses. And, eventually someone guesses who's 50 and the game is won. So how do we make this work? It's actually got a lot of components, which is why I quite like this example. The first thing is that it has a BPMN model, as you can see here, where we decide who plays 50, we enter the name of a celebrity, we then check the age of the celebrity using a system task. Two possibilities result in. If we don't know where that celebrity or who that celebrity is, well, then we have to guess again. If the celebrity, we do know who they are, but they are not 50 years old, we return back to the enter celebrity name and try one more time. Eventually we'll guess someone who's 50, and then that will tell the details. Some of the aspects of this which are kind of cool are it's going to use BPMN, of course. We're going to deploy this to Camunda Cloud along with some forms for the enter celebrity name and for check details. And the biggest component of this is the worker in the middle here, the check celebrity worker. So this is a very simple worker that I'll explain that goes and queries an external system with a celebrity name and then runs it. It also throws a BPMN error event, and we also have a gateway. So it shows loads of different components of a pretty standard Camunda Cloud project. You start off in a very simple thing. You just need to clone this project. Click on code and download the zip file. And once you have that unzipped, we will take it from there. Well, I have downloaded and unzipped the file, and here it is. It's got a bunch of stuff fell out of it. There's a few different aspects. There's the two components that are most important, which is the BPMN forms, and the other component is the worker that does the work. So you can see here that the forms are right here, and the worker is basically everything else. So let's start off doing the easy thing, which is deploying our model to the Camunda Cloud. So here's our model. This is the who's 50 game.bpmn, and basically I want to go ahead and deploy this to the cloud. Now, if you don't already have an account, cloud account, there's a link in the README. Just follow that, and where you should end up after you create a free account is this lovely page right here. So here is a place where we can actually upload our forms. So if I go, for instance, to the modeler, great, I can create a new diagram. And then I can, instead of building one from scratch, I will just import. And we will go to the folder that has our lovely diagram with it. I'm going to select the Who's 50 game, open it up, and there it is. Now, this is a really nice thing. The first thing we can do is we can do a little bit of token simulation. Well, hey, that's exactly how I expect it to work. Let's click this way so it goes back around. We check who's 50, and then they are 50. Great stuff. Will continue and the process ends. We have some other cool features, like we have the linter here, which tells us that we are doing a good job. And also everything is already executable. So you can see here that we have our task definition, which will be important later, is check age. We also have a error boundary event called celeb not found. And we also have the form, which is already attached. You don't need to deploy the forms. So now what do I do? Well, I just need to give it a good name. Let's call it Camunda Who's 50 demo. And then I shall deploy it. So save and deploy. Going to deploy it to my cluster. And we are good to go. Okay, so how do we find our model? Well, we can just start it from here. We don't actually need to even touch the worker yet. We can just start this. So I'm going to click execute, and this is going to start a new instance. So if I click execute here, you'll see in the bottom left, you'll be told, hey, click on this button. So I will. And this opens up Operate, where we can actually take a look at what's happening in our instance. And what we should see is that the process has begun, and we can then there it is. We are now on enter celebrity name, which is fantastic. So we're in the right spot. So this now instance is waiting for a celebrity name to be entered. I'm going to go back to my Cloud Console, because I want to find that user task. So the user task is, if we go to our clusters and open up this, it's in task list. So in clusters, every cluster will have a bunch of web apps. In our case, Rupert, my one and only cluster, has ZB, Operate, task list, and Optimize. I'm just interested in task list, so I'm going to click and open that. And what I should expect to see is a really simple form. There it is. Let's Play Who's 50. I can claim this, and under celebrity name, I'm going to enter the name of a celebrity who I think might be 50. I'm going to say David Sedaris, and I'm going to click Complete Task. The task has gone and the process has moved on. How can we know this? Because if I go back to my Operate tab, where I had before, you can see it's moved on. This is auto refreshing, so I wouldn't need to refresh it, so you can just wait, and we can see that we are right now waiting for this work to happen. Now, why is nothing happening? Because we have not started up our worker. So now I'm going to go back to here, and I'm going to go to our root directory for the project we downloaded, and we're going to start up the project. If you're using IntelliJ, you can just open it in IntelliJ, or you can use whatever IDE you like. So the project is loading up and is indexing files and whatnot, and now I just want to talk you through what's going on in this. So the first important thing to look at is that almost everything is stored in, that we really care about, are in two files. First of all, we have the worker, which is right here, which is the component which gets the work and then completes it. And we also have an important file in resources called the application YAML, where we actually need to add the details of how to connect to our cloud account. So first I want to talk through the worker here while it indexes itself and goes into fancy colors. The first thing here is, which I mentioned to you already, do you pay attention to, is the ZB worker has this annotation, and it says check celeb age. Now, why is it called a ZB worker? Because Command Cloud uses ZB as a process engine, so it's connecting to the process, to the process engine called ZB. Check celeb age should be exactly the same as if we open up the web modeler again. Right here in check celeb age, there we go. There's our, so this is the correlation key basically. This thing here correlates to the type of worker here. So that's the first thing to know. Now the other thing you may realize is that this has three ways of ending. The first is it could end successfully, in which case we will either go around here or go this way. Great. We could also end it by throwing a BPMN error so they can't find something, or it could end by, let's say, the server is down, so we actually can't do anything. And those are three different ways of this task completing, and I want to talk through each one. The first one is pretty straightforward. So if the celeb details are not null, this is great news. This is our happy path. In that case, we do a bunch of stuff, but the important thing to know is that we use the complete command. We send back the variables about the celebrity, and that's it. We're good. Now, if something went wrong, if in actual fact we queried for the celebrity, but we got back a null value, that means the celebrity wasn't found. It's a very specific error. It means that we were able to contact the server, we were able to do everything correctly, except we simply couldn't find the celebrity. In that case, we don't want to throw the kind of error that a system administrator would look at, but rather we want to throw an error that continues the process. In this case, we use a new throw error command. We get the job and we send this error code, celeb not found, which eagle-eyed viewers will remember exists also right here in this correlation key here, the code. So that's how that's correlated. Finally, if something went wrong that was anything else, we then throw back a fail command, which would then create an incident in the engine. Okay, so that's this single class, which does all the work. The next thing I want to talk about is the YAML file, and it's important because we're going to need to add some parameters in there before starting up. Luckily enough, the parameters that we need are all located right here in the YAML file. The first thing to look at is the most important, which is the ZB client. And you can see here that we're looking for a bunch of stuff: the region, cluster ID, client ID, and secret. So how do I get my hands on that? It's pretty easy. You go back to your cluster, and which we already have open, which is right here. So you see this is my cluster rubric from earlier, and I can see an API tab. I'm going to pop in there, and I have a bunch of already credentials that already exist for my other bits and pieces. And I'm going to go up here and click create. And now I get to create a new client, which is going to be called Nile is Cool. And ZB, which is good because it's a ZB worker, is going to be using it. I'm going to click create. Now we have all the things we require. So once you copy and download these credentials, you'll then be able to add them to the project. So let's do that right now. Alrighty, so I have downloaded the text file that contains my ZB stuff. I also have the application YAML open, and now I just need to throw the corresponding stuff in. So we have a bunch of things that sound very similar. So I want to talk through, and it's very easy to make these mistakes. First of all, we're looking for a cluster ID. Now, if we take a look at here, none of these say cluster ID. The cluster ID is actually this section here up until the full stop. So if you copy that, that is actually your cluster ID. So I'm going to put that there. It is not massively intuitive. Next, client ID, which is this thing right here. Great. And then the thing I will ask you all to keep secret, it is my client secret. So I would greatly appreciate if nobody here lets anyone know what my client secret is. So please don't pay attention to that at all. No memorizing it. Okay, that's us basically done. The next thing to do, which is pretty straightforward, which doesn't involve Camunda, is take a look at we need our celebrity, because we use an API to like communicate with this celebrity API thing. We need to just go to the README file, and you'll see here that I've left instructions on where to go and just create a free account on this link here. And then when you get that, you can come back and then add that right here. It'll be like a key in the same way as the above ones. That should take a few minutes. Once that's there, you're then going to be able to start up your worker. And that's what we're going to do next. Now, before I start the worker, let's take stock of what is the current state of what's going on right now. So on my cloud instance, I right now have, if I check task list, nothing's going on there at all because there's no tasks to complete. In Operate, if I check out my process instance, you will see I have a single instance waiting right here, and it has celebrity name David Sedaris. So it is going to, so if I start my worker up, it should pick that up. It should then check what David Sedaris is, and then go to either the win scenario or re-enter scenario. So that's what I'm expecting. So let's head back here and let's right click and run. It looks like things are starting up correctly. It's found David Sedaris. It's making a call. We have an output there. If I go back to task list now, I know it's run correctly. Operate should automatically update whenever it gets the event that stuff has moved on. It has indeed. We can then see that it's moved up here, down here to, oh, this is bad news. This means I was wrong. So if I go to task list, I'll be able to see David Sedaris is in fact 65 years old. I was way off. He looks much younger, I guess. So thank you very, very much. That is, I now challenge you to go find me a 50-year-old celebrity for this to work with. And then you can enter the details here, check it on cloud. And if you build anything, let me know. Talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.